You know, I think most of us at some time or another have dreamed of owning an exotic sports car. You know, the really top dollar stuff like Ferraris or Aston Martin. But for many of us, those things are financially out of reach. Well, these days there's actually a number of affordable, or at least relatively affordable, exotic sports cars that give you pretty much the same driving experience. And today we're going to look at a few of those and see what life might be like if you owned one. All right, let's begin by defining our terms, shall we? What do we mean by exotic? To me, an exotic vehicle has to have a few specific attributes. It has to be relatively rare. It has to have an exotic feel. In other words, when you get in it, the feeling you get is different from your average run-of-the-mill car. It can be hard-pressed to find a vehicle that fits those attributes better than this Dodge Viper. It is an absolutely in-your-face, no excuses, I'm driving a big, fast sports car kind of sports car. And the fact that you can get a brand new one for less than $90,000, about half of a comparable Ferrari in terms of performance, sort of makes it fit in what we're talking about today.
Where the Viper is all about brute force, the Acura NSX is more about being graceful and balanced. Characteristics that start with its engine.
The Acura NSX was actually born from Honda's efforts in Formula One back in the 80s. They put the engine in the middle, much like a Formula One car. It's a very spirited V6, but it's not the big, fast, incredible, powerful V10 that you would have had in a Formula One car. This car is really about blending reliability, economy in a supercar platform. And in that way, it cuts the cake a little bit differently than what you would get with a Viper.
On the other hand, there's something to be said for overkill.
Put a great big V10 motor in this thing. Makes more than 500 horsepower, more than 500 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, those are huge numbers for a street car. And it weighs 3,200 pounds, so you've got a pretty good horsepower to weight ratio, which you can feel every time you step on the throttle on this thing. You step on the gas, you can just feel it kind of grab the car and shove it forward. And that's a really exciting feeling.
Besides the upfront costs of buying these machines, keep in mind your insurance company is probably going to ding you for fees way above your standard car premium.
These vehicles are much more prone to single vehicle accidents. That means that people buy these cars, they aren't particularly great at driving them, or they start pushing them before they really have the skill to do so, and they slide off the road and hit a tree. Bang! Destroy the car. Very expensive to repair. The parts are more expensive than they are in a run-of-the-mill production car. And so that's why they tend to be a little bit more expensive to insure, because people are more likely to crash them because they're more likely to drive them hard.
Another thing you'll need to consider is how to get your exotic car fixed when it breaks. Not every Joe can work on one of these machines.
I'd try and find somebody that has a history of working on these. I'd feel a little more comfortable that way myself, but the repairs are going to be a little more money.
Pro mechanics like Bob Lyman say the good news is these particular cars are surprisingly reliable.
I don't think that compared to the past that it's going to be that bad. Where in the past you're constantly tinkering with something, these days everything's pretty much dialed in as you get it, and they have warranties to stand behind it, so it's a better animal.
And here's something else to consider about these particular vehicles. Think about it as the true cost of ownership. Now, because these are limited production cars, they actually depreciate slower than a similarly priced car would that's mass-produced.
But let's face it, people don't buy these cars out of practicality. It's about how an exotic car sets its owner apart from the rest of the pack.
We got a red Viper and we got a silver Acura NSX. Which one strikes you as exotic?
I have to say the Acura NSX.
Really? Tell me why.
I think it's a perfect fit for someone who's in shape. And this is more of a fit for someone who wants to go out to Sunset Strip type of car.
Which one at first blush says, that one's the exotic one?
The NSX, the lines on it are a little sleeker. It's a lower car. It just looks fast.
I would think the Viper, just because it stands out a lot more. And the NSX, people kind of maybe think, he just wants a Ferrari, couldn't afford it.
These cars are all about feel. You know, the feel you get from driving it, the feel you get from owning it, the feel you get from people looking at you while you're driving it, that's what these are about. So if you think an exotic car might be in your future, I want you to think about it in terms of feel, because each car feels different. Each one has a unique sensation that it gives you when you're driving it, and a different feeling about yourself when you're behind the wheel of it. The Viper person is different from the NSX person, even though they're both exotic car owners. So search through those cars, drive the ones you might be interested in, go to the billboards and the chat rooms on the internet, and read what people are saying about what they love about those cars. And if the things they're describing are the same kind of things you're looking for, well, that'll help guide you in the right direction.
That is fast.
Coming up next,